Okay, I have been looking forward to this podcast for a very long time. We have, of course, the one, the only, Kaime Stroot. How are you?
You're so sweet. That was a beautiful intro. Thank you.
Well, I know by you talking about your experience and your journey, you're going to help so many. You already have. So if you missed the show, Kaime has talked about her IVF journey. She came on with her fertility clinic, and we'll go through that whole story on here, of course. But you've talked about it on the show, so we're going to talk about it here, and we get a little bit longer, which is nice. Yeah. We have like 20, 30 minutes now to chat about it. So let's go back to where it all began with a cute little boy named Kai.
Yeah, my little lover. He is my 5-year-old, for those of you who do not know.
And he's adorable.
He's so sweet. Oh, my gosh. He's like my little mini-me. I love him so much. I have always wanted to be a mother, like from my earliest memories. I mean, I remember at 3 years old, my sister was 18 months, and she was my baby. I wanted to take care of her. And the older I got, there was just something in my heart that I wanted to just be a mom. My mom was the most amazing mother, who was the one who would play and get on the floor. And so motherhood for me was always something that was a dream. When it would happen, I have no idea. Who I would marry, I have no idea, but just knowing I wanted to be a mom. And I know it's a big question for some people. Some people don't want to be a parent, and some people don't want to go through that. But there was also something in me. This is like the craziest thing. It's such a twitch, like an intuition. I knew I would have a struggle with something in relation to fertility. And I knew that kind of early. I actually did not think I was going to be able to have kids. And I don't know if that was like part of a fear that your mind creates because you want it so bad that maybe you just like protect your heart, right? Mm-hmm. But now fast forwarding, years later and watching what I've gone through, it's like, wow, did my heart know that? Was it prepping me to I don't know. It's a really weird thing to say. And I think we've all probably have a story like that we can have like a moment where you're like, I felt like that was going to happen.
Sure.
And maybe and again, we all have a story that in hopes that you take something really hard and you help others through it. And so that's kind of the whole journey and why I've spoken out on this, because this was something that was very secret for a very long time. Very close people knew, my family knew, some friends, but I didn't talk about it. I didn't open up about it on social media. So going back to my little boy named Kai, I got pregnant with him 5 years ago. He just turned 5 in January. So he was born January 2020. And it took us a long time. I've been with my husband for now 13 years, and let's see if we do the math. Kai's 5. It took us about 7 years of no protection and a very healthy relationship.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there was something there, but at that point we were married and we were having fun, and I'm all about timing is everything, and I wasn't worried about it.
You didn't feel too rushed or anything?
No, and the timing, my age, I got married at 25, and so I think with my career, I got to have my career. There's so many perks of that being established. And so around year 4, I would say, okay, I'd start to question maybe something is broken, quote unquote. And so about year 6, I'd say we finally we went to our OB and just kind of said, hey, we've been not trying, but we've pulled the goalie and we're not having success. And she's like, man, I've learned if you're having intercourse at least once or twice a week every month, you should get pregnant within a month.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that quick.
So with that happening, and at the time we didn't question anything. We ended up doing actually a test before with Kai called the HSG test, and that actually tests where it pushes a dye through your fallopian tubes, and it just you can see it on the screen to make sure there's no blockage or cysts or anything like that. And sometimes they say it pushes things through it and opens up, your tubes a little bit, and it can help things flow through.
Okay.
We actually had success a month later. Wow. That test worked for Kai.
Wow.
So we did not have to do any fertility, anything. And that's not technically that's not technically a fertility test.
Yeah.
But it would be the first step to just make sure everything is fine.
Something you can do before.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's 6 months. When Kai was 6 months old, we decided, let's start trying.
That was my next question. How, did you know right away that you wanted more than one child? And then when did you start trying after Kai?
Yes, absolutely.
Immediately, I guess.
Yeah, pretty well. And your mother, during this was my first child. There's so many news. I mean, I babysat and held thousands of babies.
But your own is just so different.
It's so different.
Yeah.
And as a mother, with Amelia, it's I mean, there's a moment from the 0 to 6 months that you're like, oh, heck no. I did not think I can do this. So if we were to get pregnant at 6 months or the 7th month, it would have been really challenging, but I was ready for the challenge. So I knew I wanted more than one child. I mean, I think we all have like this dream, a husband and I want 2 babies, or, you know, whatever your dream is for your family. So I knew I wanted more than one. But we started at 6 months.
At 6 months. Okay. What was the first initial, like, when did you know that it was kind of going to take a minute again?
That's a great question. I think because of our first situation and after going through it, and now at this point, without giving all of our age out, I mean, I'm in the age that I need to probably get this done pretty quick. You know,
yeah.
I'm in my 30s and mid 30s. And so they say at 35, you're geriatric, which is hilarious. I think that's kind of changing now with technology and the way that we're living longer. But
sure.
I knew we chose to start at 6 months. After the next 6 months, I was like, God dang it, this is probably going to take longer. But then I wasn't that worried about it because I was so just involved in Kai's life and soaking every second up.
So he's like a year at this point.
Yeah, he's a year old, and you're still struggling. You're still trying to figure things out. Like, it's that's the hardest thing you've ever done. Like, being a mother or a parent is the most challenging thing you've ever done. It's the best, worst thing that's ever happened to you.
It's hard. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. What was the point where you went, all right, you and your husband chat and you're thinking, I think I need to do some research and pick up the phone and maybe call a fertility clinic to help in this?
Oh, gosh, it wasn't probably until like September of 23, so like almost three years later. I'm the kind of person, I just believe that everything happens for a reason. You put one foot in front of the other, you work hard, you try for things, but like life happens when it happens, and I'm okay with that. So I'm not someone who is overly worried. That I have experienced, and it's hard not to control fertility because you have to try. It is science. Like, you don't just wake up. I mean, I guess you have the Virgin Mary, she's the one and only, because that's not how it works. Like, you do have to try. So I think we were moving. We actually moved here. Everyone, I think, knows by now I'm originally a Texan. And so we chose to move here when Kai was 2. And so at that point, I was laughing, thinking, I am totally going to get pregnant on like month 1 of being in a new place away from my family. You know, this is, and I
stress-free.
Yeah, like I wasn't worried about it. Or it would just be the most stressful thing on the planet. Like, you just moved away from your entire family. Now you have no one here. You have no friends. For sure you're going to get pregnant with your second. Like, so, and then after 6 more months of that, I'm like, oh, this is still not working. And I would like to say I was trying, not over worrying, but trying from the time Kai was 6 months old. Yeah. So you have to think about every month when that time comes, it's just a no. I think I calculated at this point after trying, we tried for over 4.5 years. It was like, I mean, I haven't done the math, so I'm good at math, you guys. It was like 60-something, 70 times.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of no's.
A lot of no's. There's a lot of heartbreak and and especially in this world with social media and everybody is always pregnant or it's always happening. And I've always been so happy for everybody, genuinely, because they really can't eat at you if you don't have that heart and true happiness for others. Like my sister, she's been pregnant, more than 5 times. She's unfortunately had miscarriages, but she's had 5 babies. And she's gone through heartache, though. She lost a child when he was 14 months old, and going through that was heartbreaking. And we all have different stories, but every time when she would get pregnant, she'd call me and she'd say, I'm so sorry. And I hated that. Like, literally could bring me to tears now, because no one should ever feel apologetic for feeling sad like that. I think we've all actually watched, like, some people watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where Demi is, like, just so upset, but she's happy for her friends. Like, I know that feeling. It's heartbreaking, but it's
a
also,
little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
You're happy. You're so happy, and yet your heart's breaking inside because you want it to be you.
Yeah, and you're like, why me?
Yeah.
It's hard not to go into that, but then again, the flip side is you can't do that because everybody is timed so perfectly. Like, I believe that you were born at the perfect time, that day, that time. Like, your life was meant to be where it was, and everybody has different beliefs. But when you believe like that, it's hard to question it, but it's also hard going, why am I having to wait? Especially when you're up against the clock.
Yeah.
It's different when you're in your 20s, but when you get into your mid-30s, and again, people are having kids longer, but still, you know, I didn't want 2 only children.
You start feeling that pressure.
Yeah.
You start feeling that. Okay, what was the first step once you had like that initial consult with the fertility clinic? What did that look like? What was the first step?
So it was actually it's a really cool story. And this is another thing. Like, I don't think that like things are just meant to be. It's really cool how people kind of get woven and into your lives. And so I didn't know anyone when I moved here, and we were looking for someone to help clean our home, and a sweet woman who runs a house cleaning service. So she helps other women. It's kind of her ministry. She actually works at the Utah Fertility Clinic. And without, saying too much information, we just started texting one day about my home, and then for some reason we started talking about children, and she actually had a child through IVF, and I just started asking questions. It was this most beautiful moment of like, wow, okay, I feel like I've been thinking about this, but I'm so scared. I don't want to do IVF. And at first, when I did talk to her, and she started kind of helping me answer some of the questions, I still was so adamant. Like, if you talked to her today, she would crack up and be like, you were so hilarious. Like, I'm not doing that. I am not doing IVF. Okay, what's the other things I can do?
She had her mind made up.
Yeah. So she helped me make that phone call. And I think we all need that person in our life to just pat us on the back and say, it's okay. Just pick the phone up. Like, knowledge is power. So I picked the phone up and I called the Utah Fertility Center. And I can just say, Rachel is her name. And Rachel just was like basically telling me who all the doctors were. And so I ended up choosing a doctor who, after doing some research, and this woman it's incredible. Her name's Dr. Gercheff, and she is so interconnected with so many things now. And I'll finish let me just say it right now, actually. My OB and like her are connected through schooling and some other different things. And obviously I can't go into certain things with HIPAA, but just, it's so cool. Like, it's so cool how all life connected. Is so connected. Yeah. So anyway, she was like, I went with this doctor, and we just made our first appointment in September of 23. So I had been here for almost a full year and like a few months.
What did the initial, do they do testing? Do they, what does like that first appointment look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you just sit down with the doctor and you just kind of find a fit for what is best for you. And every doctor has their different takes, just like anybody. And she basically just kind of says, okay, we look at your age, we look at how long you've been trying, do you have a child or not? How many more children do you want? I remember her asking, do you want like 2, 3, 4, 5? Like, what are we up against here? And then she kind of just asks, how did it work with Kai? And how long did it take with Kai? And then we do blood work. Each individual does blood work, because I think a misconception is some people think it's the woman, or some people think it's the sperm.
Right.
It's really a collaborative effort.
It can be both, can be one, can be the other, can be anything.
Absolutely. And Dr. Gercheff has come on our show and kind of explaining it. There's sometimes just unexplained fertility. So when I did all my testing, I had told her we did the HSG test, and that had worked for us. We also went to the Bahamas, if anyone wants to go there.
Hey, I hear that works. I hear that works.
We were literally going to plan that trip next. So I'm like, we need to go back. So anyway, we do our blood work on both sides. Chance gives a sample. She wanted to start with the HSG test. And this is another thing where you don't have expectations, but like the HSG worked for me. So that first HSG test, and that first month that we tried, I was hopeful. Like, you guys, when you're trying to build your family, like when you use that stick and you're like, it's another no. Or anyway, so that was kind of those first steps. Looking at Chance has had diagnosed with low testosterone when he was like in his late 20s, which is very, very young to have low T. And unfortunately, it's genetics, and it just is what it is. And so he went on testosterone therapy, and we knew by a doctor's recommendation saying, this is going to hinder your fertility journey at some point. You take HSG to produce natural testosterone, but it will dwindle. And so after taking those tests, we got back that, yes, in fact, he had I think less than 10 million. At someone his age, it should have been in like the 60 to 200 million range. I think I can probably even go higher, don't quote me. So we knew like 10 million, I think maybe it was even less than that. His highest after getting off of testosterone was only 40 million. So still low. So that was really what we were up against. And it's so funny. It only takes one.
Right.
You really think about it. How silly can they be?
Right. Okay, so you decided you did the HSG test again. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was next after that? And you're probably thinking, well, it worked the first time.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't. So we did the HSG test. We knew that Chance's Obviously, his count was low. And so she's like, I think you guys can get pregnant naturally. That's what she said at our consultation. And I love that about her because, there's a misconception about, doctors just wanting to go straight to IVF because it's the most expensive thing. It's $20,000 to $30,000. And I loved her bedside manner saying, I think you guys can do this on your own. I think there's people ovulate at different times. There's so much to fertility. It's so much science to it. So some women ovulate early, some women ovulate late. So there's just so many things. So they wanted to check my ovulation kind of cycle. So that would be like the next step. And then so we tried from September to December of that year on our own with no medicine. Chance then though got off of his testosterone, which men out there can relate. When you get off testosterone and when you desperately need it, it's really unhealthy. It's not good. It can cause depression. It can cause all sorts of things. And then Chance ended up getting hurt. And that is what, where our story gets really just emotional and really difficult.
Yeah, because he had that accident on the stairs.
Yeah, so we had decided in the summer when we met with Dr. Kirchhoff, we had said, okay, if by December we're not pregnant on our own after following Dr. Kirchhoff's kind of protocol, let's do IUIs. And IUI is the kind of step below IVF. So IUI is one of the most natural things that you can do. They basically put you on a medication called Femara, and they follow your ovulation. They're basically watching your ovaries grow under a microscope. So you'll go in every single day, every other day for sonograms, and then they basically say you've got 3-4 follicles. Every woman is different. Women in their 20s probably have 10 to 15. I mean, I'm in my 30s now. I had 2 to 3 on each side. But then there's also risks of multiples. And so it's all timing. It's a wild road. But we ended up doing through 5 months, 4 of them. And they, unfortunately, we missed one of them, one of my ovulation cycles, which happens. It's just part of kind of just the journey. And so the hardest part was when Chance got hurt. He ended up falling down our stairs with our son, holding Kai, saving his life, such a hero. He ended up tearing his whole quadricep off of his knee. And so he was going to be immobile, not walking for 2 months. And my heart was literally broken. I remember sitting on the couch the day after. Let's see, no, it wasn't the day after his surgery. It was the day before his surgery. And I said, and it's all timing. You have to start the womanly thing every month. I said, babe, I just started. I need to call. If we're going to do this, we need to do this week. We were literally having surgery, Carrie, on a Friday.
Wow.
And this was a Thursday. So it's all timed. You have to call him on day cycle 1 through 3. And then from there, they take your ovulation cycle. And so I will never forget, and gosh bless my husband, I'll never forget being the day after his surgery, you guys, he literally cannot walk. He is in so much pain, on pain medicine, went under, which cannot give a good sample, by the way. You just went under anesthesia.
Right, big surgery.
But we're going all in because I want him to get back on testosterone because he needs his muscle to grow. No depression cannot set in. This is so hard for someone.
Yeah.
And so he had been off of testosterone for 4 months. So he'd already been suffering, quote unquote, and really doing this for us and for our family to just sacrifice his own health. And so we were if you have to get back on testosterone. And it was so heartbreaking to go 4 months of hard work and what you've sacrificed could just go down the toilet.
Right.
And so looking back, it was probably not the best decision, but then again, you can't question things. You just went forward. And so we did, for 4 months, we did 4 failed IUIs. And I will never forget. Oh my God, I can think about it to this day. It brings me to tears. When you're going through fertility, you're the one knowing you're not starting. Or you're starting, excuse me. You're the one that knows you're not pregnant. No one in the bathroom was with you. So when they called me, and I had friends, probably 4 or 5 friends, similar in age, first try was a success. I was so hopeful because Dr. Kirchhoff said you could do this on your own. Mm-hmm. There is nothing wrong. Your tests look great. Your blood work looks awesome. I think it's a sperm issue. So I'll never forget that phone call. My heart is excited, but also scared. And they called, and Rachel was actually my precious friend, the one who called me and said, okay, man, I'm so sorry it didn't work. And the heartache that came to, I could literally cry right now thinking about it because it was so sad. It was darn it. And then, sorry, the exciting thing is, you guys know I'm pregnant, so it's like, but like reliving it is so crazy. And it's so funny because some people be like, wow, this is not that emotional. It's just a kid. But the way I feel about motherhood, it's so special.
Oh, it's
and
a huge deal, and everything that you guys had been through. And then to like, put on hold his testosterone just to like, you're timed on this and you got to get this done. And then to have his accident and then to get that phone call, you know, that's like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. And I was taking care of him. I had no family here, no one. And I remember going to the doctor with Kai. He's been with me, my little buddy, every step of the way, every other day, taking care of Chance, getting him up and down the stairs, and then going to my appointment. And it was wild. It was a wild road. And Chance was always there, crutching in and out when he needed to be there for the IUIs and holding my hand. And so after 5 months of this and him recovering, I just still can't believe we did that. Like, wow. Like, again, we made the commitment. We knew this was best. We wanted him back on testosterone, and we didn't want to make it all for nothing.
Yeah.
And so after May, after the 4 no's again, and in all of this, I've had like 2 or 3 of my friends lap me, and they were getting pregnant in those 5 months. And I'll never forget. It was so hard, again, going back to what we talked about, but I was so happy for them. But it was also just like, I just don't understand. Like, how can other people in the world who have kids just don't care about their kids and leave them, all the sad stories. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm an amazing mother who's so present and just wants to pour into another child so they can have this wonderful life. And so, and again, I'm not trying to say poor me, but I feel like I'm being very vulnerable in saying it because I know there's parents out there or mothers out there who wish they could have had more and just couldn't. It's so, everybody's story is so different, but carrying that baby for 9 months and being the mother and all the things that God really made us how to be it's what makes being a parent so special.
When you wanted that again. And then, okay, so after those attempts didn't work, so tell me about the decision to pursue IVF and what that first step is.
Yeah, I know this story is like so long, you guys. So thanks for bearing with me on all of it. So December of 20, I believe what was
2024.
Oh, it's okay, 20. Yeah, so we decided to take a huge break. So we ended up just saying, okay, that was insane. Like, let's just focus on
take
healing.
A breath.
Yeah. At this point, it is what it is. Get back on testosterone. We'll just figure it out. And, looking back on all of this, I will say, and you know what, let's just pause on that. Let me just answer that question because now looking back, I want to be able to help women just say, do it faster. Don't do what I did. Don't be so scared. So we basically took a break from June until December. We did the whole thing again. You lay the fleece out and say, okay, if we're not pregnant by December of, or it was December of 24, so like the first of the year of 25, like, let's just do IVF.
Let's go.
Let's do it. And again, I was so scared. I don't know why. Now going through it, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. It's very expensive, and it's a lot of shots, and I can see how it can just take someone and swallow them whole. I'd like to think I'm someone who's extremely strong with just things I've been through with my own family and with, my mother has been sick my whole life, and just, we all have things. Life is hard.
It is.
My husband says,
it is very
life
hard.
is hard, wear a helmet. So, by December of 24, well, it hadn't happened. Another just 6-7 months of no's again, and again, trying every month. You take the break, but we're taking a break from fertility, not each other.
Right.
And so, and everyone kept saying, and I know there's like people out there that are so going to relate to this, just don't pick it up. Just let it go. And I don't know who I'm mocking, but I just heard that so many times. I'm like, I am trying to let it go. But with fertility, you have to pick up the phone and you have to go to the appointments.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. If
So
that's what you want, you got to do it.
It's like, I get it. It's a very like fine line. But anyway, I'm just, the next person who ever said that to me, I swear, I'm like, just go away.
You're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
So by December of 24, it hadn't happened, and we said, okay, let's do it.
Okay, so you start IVF. Mm-hmm. What does that look like over the next few months?
Okay, so IVF, I would like to say, for someone who is listening to this, who is thinking about doing it, who is scared, 1, don't be. You can do it. 2, this takes about 3 to 4 months. That was kind of a misconception. They do tell you that, but like as you're trying to like plan your, I want to be pregnant during this time.
Yeah.
And, those kinds of things.
Takes some time.
Sure. So it takes about 3 to 4 months. So that's something that you need to keep in mind if IVF is your next step. So basically, we just had our initial consultation with our medical coordinator or IVF coordinator. And so she kind of holds your hand through the whole thing. And it's a pretty seamless process as far as just they tell you where to go and what to do. it's not so seamless as far as time. It is insane. I think I went to like 50 appointments in the last, maybe more. I mean, I didn't count them all, but you're there every single day and they're watching your every single, like your body changing every single day.
Yeah.
So the egg retrieval is what's first. So when someone says, what's an IVF round? Do you know what an IVF round is? Do you know what that means to you?
To me personally, a little bit, but I think you're probably better to explain it.
Well, I didn't really understand. Now going through it, it can mean a couple of different things. The IVF round can be egg retrieval. So I kind of prepped myself with the IVF transfer not working. I was not prepared to not get eggs or embryos, which is the first step. In order to be able to do a transfer, you have to get a perfect egg that's mature and a sperm to create the embryo. And so I remember starting that being like, oh, holy smokes, like, this is a round. I could do all of these shots, like literally those shots every single morning, multiple times a day. I mean, I don't remember, I should have counted so I had the number, but I mean, I did, there was only over 50 something shots too. So every woman is different. Someone in their 20s could get literally like 20 to 30 eggs, maybe more. I ended up going through all of this and I got 8 eggs, 7 of them mature. And so from there, once you get your eggs, then they end up immediately taking your eggs and fertilizing them with the sperm the day of your egg retrieval. And so from there, so everyone warned me, you're going to think you're getting so many eggs. And so like each egg gets a sperm in their own little petri dish. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have our embryologist actually on in another podcast. So he can kind of talk through some of those scientific things. Cause I have actually a lot of questions on like, how many sperm were in my like petri dish? Was it a bunch or was it one?
Yeah.
From my understanding, it was just the perfect one. And so that's why IVF is perfect for us. Cause the joke is it only takes one. But literally they took the most perfect, beautiful little guy and they gave it to my egg. And then from there, they let it go. So they took basically from the 7 mature eggs, they took chances, 7 perfect sperm after spinning it and doing what they do on the science side. They put it in each little like own dish, and then they leave it alone for 5 days. They do the day after, 24 hours after your IVF egg retrieval, they do say, hey, you had how many eggs plus how many were mature. So let's just say you could have 25 eggs and you could have 0 mature.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And this all has to do with, honestly, your health. Like how, and that's what obviously after every cycle that you're shedding your eggs. So like, that's why they say it's harder to get pregnant as you get older. So I remember a girl who we only ended up getting, we had 4 embryos that made it, which was incredible. I mean, I remember getting that phone call and just almost falling on the floor because after being, you get connected and you start coming out on social media and you learn other people's stories. And I remember looking on Instagram at some people, they have this cute little thing that's like this many eggs and this many fertilized and this many and then none. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like how do I just spend $20,000 to $30,000 and you'd get nothing? Mm-hmm. Is that not crazy?
So then you'd have to just start over at that point.
That's a round.
And that's money you're not getting back.
That is not money you are getting back.
Those are emotions. Those are time. That's all that you're not getting back.
100%. So with ours, we were so incredibly, we had such success. I mean, considering my age, considering I only had 8 eggs, 7 mature, 4 embryos, 2 of them, 4 fertilized, but 2 of them made it. They were perfectly graded. And then you can take it a step further and you can do genetic testing. And we decided to do genetic testing because of our age and also because of the sex. We wanted to be able to pick the gender, which is a funny story. But we ended up, you have to wait then 2 more weeks after you found out that the 2 embryos are great. Some people choose to test and some people don't. Some people also choose to do IVF fresh transfer, which would mean they would take those embryos and do that transfer the next day. Mm-hmm. I chose to freeze mine, do the genetic testing to make sure that we had all the chromosomes, everything was great. And that's something you can talk to your doctors about. That's pros and cons to both of those. There's different belief systems. We just decided that there's more success, they say, with frozen transfers with genetic testing, because if you're going to put in they grade them, but a highly graded embryo does not necessarily mean that it's a euploid, and a euploid is meaning that it has all the chromosomes. So we were fortunate enough that we got 2, and I just literally to this day cannot believe we got 2 out of our first round.
I remember getting the text message from you.
I know.
I remember it like clear as day. Okay, so after egg retrieval, you get the news, you do genetic testing. Tell me the next step about like transferring.
Yeah, so after that, it takes about, like I said, 10 to 2 weeks, so 10 to 14 days to do the genetic testing. I thought immediately you could like unfreeze that sucker and we could just go. No. So there's like a whole other like 6 more weeks. You kind of you have to pause. They let your body heal. And there's a whole other process when you're doing your egg retrieval. Like they're going in with a needle and they're sucking out, the eggs. And so your body goes through quite a bit. And
you gotta heal.
You gotta heal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then they enlarge your ovaries. So there's a lot of things that could be complicated. So you have to rest. And so my body was just healing. Well, then we decided, I believe it was like February 25th, I ended up starting my modified natural frozen transfer cycle. So with everybody has a different body, a different life, a different story. With me, they had not found anything wrong, which can also just be frustrating. Like, oh, your ovaries are like textbook perfect and your uterus looks like amazing. Like, it's like, cool. Like, why can't I get pregnant? But with that, my doctor said, I think you're a very good candidate for, we're following it very, very naturally, which I loved because I didn't like the idea of playing God. I felt like originally when I started this process, IVF was, I want to have a baby and I want to have it now. And I just want to like take all the control. And I don't love that. And that was like hard for me. So that was really, what was really cool is that we got 2 boy embryos. I didn't have to choose what was destined for my life. Mm-hmm. Clearly I'm supposed to be a boy mom and I'm going to raise boys and have gentlemen's and the ladies can thank me later or their partner can thank me later.
That's right.
So that part I think has been the biggest takeaway from that. And so I think that was, it was just really neat that going through it, there's so many steps in all of this that you have no control over and that at any point they could just not have success. Yeah. And so we ended up doing our transfer that I didn't have to take a bunch of hormones. I didn't have to do a bunch of progesterone shots in the bum. Like there's a lot of really painful medicine.
For transfer.
Correct.
Is it a surgery where they like, are you under, do you have a choice? Is that what does that look like?
Yeah. So the egg retrieval you're under, which is like just a mild sedation. That one was like a little bit more painful. The IVF transfer that day is so underwhelming. It's over in 5 minutes. But what's wild is you're awake. They give you a what's the drug? I don't take drugs, so
something to relax.
Something to relax you.
Something to relax. Perfect. To calm those nerves.
Yeah, there
okay.
You go. They give you a Valium. Chance was trying to get one that day. I said, babe, this is not about you. This is about me. But you're in there. The embryologist is there. Your doctor is there, and on a screen through a sonogram or ultrasound, you see the little baby go right through, and it's microscopic, Carrie. It's like they have to check the tubing under a microscope to see if the embryo actually made it. That's how small this is.
Wow.
This is a cell. Like it is so small.
But it's so crazy you can watch that in real time.
Yeah. And so when it happened in real time, it was, the emotion, you would have thought I was so much more emotional that day when it happened. I think I have just been through so much that there's a part of my heart that's just guarded. So I was excited. But the moment they transfer and implant you, you're technically pregnant.
Well, and you're supposed to, I remember, didn't they have you, like you're supposed to rest?
Yes.
Right? For like a few days?
Mm-hmm, Princess days.
Princess days.
Yes. So, which was fun, which I didn't really rest that much, I swear. I think I was, they say give yourself 7 to 10 days to like heal and rest. And those first 48 hours, I felt it now going back. I felt it implant. You can feel it. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can feel it, but I totally know the feeling. It literally felt like something was being burrowed in me. It was like this tugging sensation. And then 10 days later after the transfer, you do a blood pregnancy test.
And do you go in, obviously, for this? And then how do you choose the news? Can they call you? Do you go in? Is it an email? Like, can you choose what way they tell you?
You know what's so funny? I really kind of wish I would have asked that question because they typically call you. But the funniest story is where I was when they called me. And actually, they called me a lot sooner because I probably shouldn't say this on like a podcast, but Rachel called me. She's the one who called, which I think is so awesome. So she gave me the news, and it was actually pretty quick after I did my blood test. It was only like an hour and a half. So I wasn't expecting it because it typically takes like all day.
Yeah.
And it was towards the end of the day, which is actually really great. I did that later in the day, so I didn't have to wait as long. But leading up to that phone call, your heart is just like, I don't know. I mean, a part of me is numb, part of me is excited. You just kind of I don't even know how to explain.
Well, and some of us, okay, so if you've been listening, she said it a little bit. And like, if you follow her, you know, but like, why don't you tell what the news was?
So we're at Target. I'm just running my errands like a mom's doing and getting my like to-dos done. And I get the phone call and I see Rachel's name on there. And I literally answer the phone like, what? And it wasn't even like, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
It was like, what? Because she was the one who called me originally and said not pregnant, that, the year before. And so she was crying and said, Kaime, you are so pregnant. And I'm going to cry again.
Aww.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It was really cool.
Those words, Kaime, you are so pregnant.
I
just got the goosebumps.
I know. She's like, your numbers are so high. Like, you are undeniably pregnant, Kaime. And then I remember doing this because I'm like, shut up.
In Target. In Target.
Shut up. Are you kidding me? I was like, you're joking right now. And Kai was with me, which I think is so cool because he went with me to get the blood test. And he's gone with me to so many appointments. Like, the place
He's been right there with you the whole time.
I was crying and he was going, what, mama? And I said, Mama's pregnant, Kai, it worked. And he was like, wait, are those the happy tears?
Because he knows the other ones. He knows the other ones.
He started tearing. No, he knew. He started crying, and that was what was so cool. He's like, "Are those things you talk about?" And I was like, "Baby, you're happy that you're gonna get a baby brother," and it was so cool. So yeah, wow.
In Target, that's like my favorite part.
Yeah,
that you were just.
Well, it was cool. We bought a baby little outfit, and we went home and surprised Chance. And Chance already knew because we had taken a ski trip like the weekend before, and I was like getting like food aversions already, and I was like, there's like smells, and it was so funny.
Knew.
And I was skiing not great, like I can ski double blacks, and I was taking it super easy. One, being careful, but I was so tired, like I couldn't keep up with him. And he was like, "What is wrong with you? You were so pregnant." So he knew. We got home, and Kai's going, "Mama's pregnant." He calls it pregnant. So it was a really, really cool moment.
Well, and you want to answer that phone call when you see it coming. But it's like, do you pick up and you go, okay, wait a minute, I need, like, there's no like perfect timing for that, No. So it's like you just want to know.
Yeah. I wish there's part of me that like would have been fun to be home with Chance and we both like take the call together.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny because it's a friend of mine who happens to work at the clinic and she's the reason I'm there and she's held my hand and answered literally probably 200 questions and it was cool to have that moment with her. And so it was cool to also surprise Chance because I surprised Chance the first time I was pregnant with Kai.
Okay, that was my next question. How did he knew, he said he knew, but how did he react when he like heard the first initial, like actually knew?
Like with Kai or with this one?
With this one.
With this one. Well, the first one, he was in shock because like we had been, 7 years of like not worrying about it. And he's like, stop it, what? And so this one, he just was like, I knew it. I have it on a video. I should put it on my like social media page or attach it to this. I knew it. I freaking knew it, Kai. And so he just, came out of the house with his like arms up and just hugged me. It was really sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It is just like I have chills just thinking about the whole thing. I'm so happy for your family.
Thank you.
We cannot wait to meet the little guy. So when are you have they given you a due date?
Yeah. I'm due November 30th.
Okay.
Which is so cool because with IVF, it's so like spot on.
November's a great month. I was born in November. It's a great one. And so is Chance, right?
And so is Chance. Yeah. And he's technically going to be, I think he's on the verge of like Sagittarius, Scorpio, which is super fun because we're both like our personalities are so on par with those things. So it'll be fun. We'll see. I had Kai 10 days early, but with this one, I had an emergency C-section with Kai, so we're going to try maybe natural this time with an epidural. Don't worry. Yeah. But we're so excited. I mean, there is a part of my heart that's still, I think all moms, you don't know what tomorrow holds. And that's with anything, with our health, with other people, with ourselves, with our babies, And one of the harder things I think, but also the awesome thing is me coming out and having the courage to talk about my story is helping others. Like the UFC has kind of reposted some things that I've posted and I've gotten connected with some amazing women who some are pregnant and some hasn't worked and their stories are harder than mine times a million. But then we're all kind of a part of this little family that no one else can understand unless you've walked it.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest message, because we've been on here for like forever, I think the biggest message is just don't be afraid. Like your emotions are validated. You can have all your feelings, but I think it's just don't be afraid to pick the phone up. I've said this so many times because I was terrified. And now knowing that we had the issue was more the sperm than anything. I could have been pregnant years ago, and maybe not. But I think the biggest thing is just pick it up. You don't know, if you don't try, you have a 100% chance of it never working. So just try.
Yeah. Well, I commend you for sharing your story, and we've kind of all known a lot of it behind the scenes, and so we've been with you through this, and like, it's heartbreaking. And I think to be able to speak your truth and to be able to help someone listening going, I'm terrified and I've been there, and and just that you're sharing your story so people know that they're not alone helps.
100%. And again, I want people to hear that I am not saying this is the hardest, worst thing that's ever happened to me. Feel sorry for me, poor me, because listen, life is hard. Like I said, life is so hard, and there's so many twists and turns, and we have to just be there for one another and to have the courage to stand up and hold someone up when they can't hold themselves up.
Yeah.
I've had 2 parents that have had cancer. I've lost a nephew. Like there's so many things in my life I've struggled with, just like all of us. We all have our own trauma and our own heartaches. But fertility is one of those things that I think not enough people realize it's also trauma. And it's one of those things I'm adding to, I've conquered this. And, he's not in my arms yet. My baby boy's not here, and my story's unwritten still. But I'm just soaking up every single moment. I think we have to live in the actual moment. So like today, I'm 13 weeks and 2 days, and I am just grateful to have made it this far. If I don't get another day with him, then today was a great day.
Oh, you're amazing. You're incredible. And if people want to watch the Fresh Living segment, they can go to our website, kutv.com. Click on Fresh Living, and you can search. What's your doctor's name? What would they search?
So it's Sean Gercheff. She's at the Utah Fertility Center. They have amazing doctors, Dr. Conway, Dr. Duray. There's several others. And obviously there's other fertility clinics. The U is amazing. Just go to someone, do your research, and reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Just start. Where can people follow the rest of the story?
Yeah, you can follow me on my Instagram. I'm on TikTok at Kaime Stroot. So just look up. You guys find us on Fresh Living. You can just see me. You guys are always reposting us. Okay. So thank you for my team and my Fresh Living family. You guys have been by my side, and thanks for listening and helping me tell my story, Carrie.
Oh, well, we can't wait to meet him. And it's going to be here before we know it.
I know.
Be here before we know it.
I'm already popping. The second one comes fast.
And Kai will be the cutest big brother.
All right. Love you, girl.
So happy for you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.